What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. We have a lot to discuss in this update for you guys. We're going to be obviously talking a little bit about the broad market, the most relevant updates for the market as we get deeper into earnings season here. We have the next FOMC meeting next week, and then we also have a couple of these trade deadlines coming up that obviously the market is watching out for. Now, in addition, we're obviously going to be talking about some of your guys' favorite names here, NEO, Palantir, and Sofi, with in particular NEO making some very epic moves today and really over the last 2 weeks here. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys are and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, and in particular today, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community. Less trades, more profits. Guys, I keep telling all of you, I'm just going to keep calling out the most filthy, the most epic trades in the market here. We had one of our members here today make over 6,000% on that Kohl's call out that I gave to you guys over the last couple of weeks. And then also we identified another one that I actually talked a little bit about on the streams today too. Krispy Kreme, D-Nut, that is making everybody some absolutely epic gains here as well. Again, for those of you guys that still need to hop into this group here, make sure you guys use code July, get 50% off your first month. It is literally only $1 a day to join. I make it very accessible to everybody to hop in and learn these skills that nobody can then take away from them. And then you guys can go out too and make these multi-hundred and multi-thousand% trades when they do set up. So we'd love to have you in there, but without further ado, let's get into some of this information here from today. So first things first, we did see a new development with a trade deal with the Philippines here. Trump said the Philippines will pay a 19% tariff here. So that's kind of the only update that we really received on actual new trade deals today. But we did also receive a little bit of guidance here from Besson and also Trump today that they're going to be having another meeting with China and President Xi in the not too distant future in order to kind of further these trade talks that they have been engaging in over the last couple of months here. Now, there is an interesting note here from Goldman Sachs as well that I do want to briefly touch on here. Goldman expects Fed rate cuts as job market slows. Goldman Sachs expects the Fed to hold rates steady next week, which again does make a lot of sense, then cut rates at its remaining 2025 meetings as the slowing job market pressures policymakers. Private sector hiring is near stall speed, risking a self-reinforcing slowdown, while consumer spending has stagnated for 6 months, a pattern rarely seen outside recessions. Goldman also sees 2 more cuts in early 2026. So what's important about this is, remember, we actually saw the unemployment rate go down on the non-farm payroll report, but we did see a significant miss to the downside when the ADP private payrolls report came out very soon before that NFP report came out. Now, again, that ADP report is looking at Social Security numbers, and NFP is really basically just survey data here. And for those of you guys that have been around on this channel for the last couple of weeks or months here, we've talked a lot about how this survey data coming out, especially as it relates to inflation expectations, really isn't all that accurate here. So having Goldman Sachs actually coming out and kind of being on the side of using that private sector hiring and saying that it's near stall speed, risking a self-reinforcing slowdown, I would say that's kind of a breath of fresh air in this market right now. Now let's get into some of these individual names here, and obviously the first one that we're going to be covering in this video today is NEO. Now NEO has gone on an absolutely epic move over the last couple of weeks here, going from that mid $3 range all the way up to about $5 here, cracking through that big $5 area, up about 45% in the month of July here, which is obviously a welcome development. You guys know that I own about 4,000 shares of NEO at around $4.55. Again, not a big position for me at all, but I do think that this one has the potential to be a pretty big gainer over the next couple of years if they are able to execute and really fulfill the promises that they have made, or really fulfill the guidance that they have given out to their shareholders and investors over the last few years. Because again, this one has come with a lot of over-promising and under-delivering when it comes to NIO's actual results. But they are actually coming out with some very positive news recently, especially when you think about the Onvo L90 SUV here. So Onvo will officially launch the L90 on July 31st, which will come 2 days after LI Auto launches the LI i8 electric SUV. The Onvo L90 will have pre-sales starting at a price of $39,000 US, which is 25% lower than the expected price of the LI i8. Now, this is very important. Remember, when we think about NIO and their flagship brand, they have positioned themselves in the marketplace as a luxury electric vehicle manufacturer. And again, in this type of global macroeconomic environment, it is very difficult for consumers that are already struggling to justify going out into the marketplace if they are in the market for a new vehicle to pay those higher premiums for a product like NIO's flagship brand, which is why the Onvo and Firefly having that under NIO's umbrella is so important for them to be able to adequately execute on over these next couple of quarters and quite honestly next couple of years if they want to hit those profitability targets. Now, before we move on, the one thing that I do want to say about NIO is that when Onvo did have this increased amount of pre-sales in the past, really towards the end of last year here, they did struggle getting this delivery process to their consumers up and running and up to really an adequate level. So hopefully NIO and Onvo have learned from their mistakes, and this new rollout of the L90 is going to go a lot more smoothly than last time to increase the overall customer experience. Now, let's talk a little bit about Palantir here. Again, this has obviously been a name that retail investors have had a lot of success with over the last couple of years here, and is just continuously marching towards these highs. Now, what I will say is that as we start to get closer to Palantir's earnings on August 4th, it is very possible that we do see a little bit of a sell-off because it's almost impossible right now to justify the valuation that Palantir is currently commanding in the marketplace. The amount of revenue growth that they would need to hit over the next couple of years here is really aggressive in order to maintain this valuation here. They might be able to do it, they might not, but in general, it's not necessarily Palantir's fault as a company for their stock price being where it is. They are doing everything that they need to do in the short term, medium term, and long term here in order to grow their business on the government's contracting side, in the commercial side. So for this one in particular here, this is not one that I would want to go out in the open market right now and purchase, but that doesn't mean that you should either be selling your position or taking a short position on this name. A lot of you guys are in this name still from when I outlined it for everybody in the 15, 16 area. So again, if you do want to take some profits, if you do want to take advantage of some of the increased implied volatility and increased options prices going into earnings and sell some covered calls on some of your position, by all means do so. I still think, again, Palantir is going to be around for a while. They are going to continue to have success, but the market might start holding this one to a little bit of a higher standard depending on what kind of numbers Palantir does end up releasing. And kind of going back for a second here, I forgot I wanted to talk about this too. Newly launched Deloitte and Palantir Strategic Alliance is delivering tangible outcomes, accelerating transformation for clients' modern enterprise functions. Again, Palantir is continuously showing that their technology works and is delivering positive outcomes for their customers, either from a commercial side, so Deloitte here, or the government contracting side for whatever governments that they are currently working with. Now, the last name that I want to talk a little bit about with you guys in this video here before we wrap up is Sofi. So if you guys have been paying attention to some of the statements that I've been making on Twitter or in the live streams that I do with you guys every single day here, I did think that SoFi was due for a short-term pullback, especially after we were seeing the formation of last Friday's candle, and obviously after we saw what happened on Monday. Now, we did see a little bit of a gap down for SoFi here. It did sell off aggressively, but the buyers did come up and buy this one back up, and it is now trying to hold that daily 10 exponential moving average here. So what I would say about SoFi at this point is that it did get that pullback that we were looking for here. The buyers came in and said, nope, we don't think it deserves to be any lower than this 1980 area here. We think in the short term that SoFi should be trading above 20, and now it is back above 21. And I do think that we could easily chop around these areas as we go into earnings. Now, again, with SoFi making this significant move to the upside, going into its earnings report, again, you might have a little bit more downside risk if the market sees something in SoFi's earnings that it doesn't like. But at the end of the day, I still think this one is going to be a very big player and have a lot of success, especially if they are able to hit those member growth goals, those user growth goals, and continuously innovate in terms of their product suite, which can not only increase the revenue per customer, but it can also drive even more revenue growth, especially with what they're doing with crypto, as people start to realize that they're going to have a lot more crypto offerings on SoFi's platforms than they previously had. So, guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot, spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed, turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos go live. And those of you guys that are making that right choice to hop into the group there with us in LTMP, can't wait to see you in there. I can't wait to have you be one of my next success stories here. It's been really, really awesome seeing those of you guys that have really, quite honestly, no experience in the market, or even those of you who are experienced in the market, learning the skills that I teach every single day, and are able to go out and make those massive gains on a consistent basis. So, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Until next time, I will see you. Peace.